Okay. Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for joining today's session. Today's session will be on Django sessions. JR and Roselyne will be taking us through Django sessions. And yeah, you guys can take over. Let me stop presenting.
Okay, great. There's someone who's presenting. Oh, there. Let me just click the slides.
JR, will you share the slides or should I share them?
Yeah, you can start. Start sharing.
All right. All right. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, but yeah, there. Yeah, Roselyne, yeah, we can see. Roselyne.
Oh, I had muted myself, sorry. So yeah, so today we are going to talk about Django session. I am Wacuka Muniri, and my assistant will be fetching tea for me throughout the presentation is Zablon, aka JR. And yeah, so this is a very interesting topic, and we thought the best way for anyone who wants to understand Django sessions to really understand it is to include some other authentication systems in Django, that is cookies and token auth. So through the presentation, we are going to cover what are cookies, what's in the cookie jar, and then Django sessions, session auth versus token auth, some security vulnerabilities associated with Django sessions and Django cookies. We're going to have a demo and a Q&A. So the demo is going to be very short. It's a very nice, easy topic. Yeah. So we can start with cookies. Cookies are JR, you're going to introduce yourself, or I should just continue?
We shall continue. I already introduced myself.
Okay.
So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Zablon. Yeah, let's continue.
All right. So cookies are small text files stored and maintained by the browser. To be honest, when I was researching for this topic, I have never explicitly set cookies in my Django project. And when I was reading about it, I just sort of realized it's what makes your experience in your browser just easy. You know, that time when you're just hopping between your GitHub, ChatGPT, Netflix, and all that time, you don't have to keep logging in. And then that one time where you have to clear history happened. And now it's back to trying to remember passwords, borrowing your Netflix password again. That's anyway. Yeah, so it's usually just a whole entire process once you delete history. And so I want us to really understand what happens and how, what happens in the web browser when you're setting cookies. So cookies are small text files stored and maintained by the browser. They were first used by Netscape to store cart data for their e-commerce site. So Netscape was a web browser back in the 90s. And it led to the birth of Mozilla, basically. So when they were trying to develop their e-commerce site, they realized, okay, so here we need to understand stateless and stateful protocol. So HTTP, we all use the web browser. So what is used to communicate between what is used to help the server and the client understand each other are the HTTP and HTTPS protocols. So essentially, these are stateless. And if you understand, just from the meaning, the word stateless, the dictionary defines it as someone who does not have a country or does not belong to any state. So with the HTTP protocol, it does not keep state, meaning if you log into a web browser, it forgets about you. Even if you you log in again, you have to keep putting in your password over and over and over again, which is tedious. But at the same time, it's very necessary. The statelessness of the HTTP protocol is very necessary because it's what keeps it lightweight. So to sort of complement that protocol, cookies were created so that you can still maintain user data and you don't have to keep logging in again while still maintaining the protocol. So it was essentially created to store shopping cart data. So if you log out, you will come back and still find your cart items in your shopping cart. Other things you can include login information, language preferences. That's why you have your dark theme and another person can have their white theme, and you don't need to, you don't need to keep changing your preferences over and over again, unless now you clear history or you log out and it's all over, you have to keep doing that. So last point is they're not as secure as sessions. So the main discussion tonight is going to be sessions. And the thing is, cookies are not as secure as sessions, and they're mostly used to complement sessions. So when they created the cookies, they realized there was one major drawback. That is when the client stores the cookies, it exposes the data within the cookie. So that can be a bit dangerous. So, but then when I was thinking of that, I was very curious as to how we were hacked. Which of our data is out there? Like, I'm gonna have to look into that. So they're not very secure because all your data is exposed on the client side. So if you want more, if you want to store maybe payment information, you see that would not be a very wise thing to do. So that's where sessions come in, and we're gonna look at how that happens. Yeah. So next slide is cookie configurations. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover how to set cookies and request cookies. Sorry guys, when you're home, these people don't understand. They wonder what I'm doing on the laptop and keep talking. So yeah, so what I'm gonna use here is the set cookie and request cookies. Delete cookie is very easy. I can just show you very briefly, and how to. And this is basically, these are the parameters that you put in this set cookie method: the key value, maximum age, expires, domain, secure, HTTP only, blah blah blah. I'm gonna explain all that in a few. So the set cookie method is what you use to set cookie. Delete cookie is what you use to delete cookie. And the request.cookies is not really a method. It's more of a dictionary that is used to store and retrieve now the cookie data. So when you're setting a cookie, you need the key, which is the name of essentially the name of your cookie, and the value, which is the value that the value of the cookie. So for example, you have your key as username, and then now the username that you set here is the value. And then you have the maximum age, which is how long the cookie should last before it expires. And then you have expires. This is in seconds. The maximum age is set in seconds, and then expires is set in the month, time zone, date. Yeah, it has all those. The month, the year. Yeah, it basically lasts longer. You can put it longer than this maximum age. But when you put the expires parameter, it overrides the maximum age. So if here you had put 10 seconds and here you put 2 weeks from when the cookie was set, it's gonna go with this one, with this here. And then the path, I'm gonna show you when I set the URLs. The path is the URL path to your view where you're setting the cookie, and then the domain. Secure false. When you put secure true, it means it can only the cookie can only be transmitted through HTTPS protocol. This is why when you go to those websites and they tell you cannot proceed, and you have to now go for the advanced options, this is when that happens when you set this to true. Then HTTP only false, and then these two. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I did not understand this. So JR, if you understood same site and HTTP only, and most this has something to do with JavaScript and front end. Yeah. So I don't know if Jimmy or JR, you can maybe explain this and this. I'll look for more information as we continue. But yeah, the most important ones I saw for this project that we have, and most of the projects that we are going to create, is the value, maximum age, expires, path, and secure. Yeah. So next we have, sessions. And as I told you before, cookies are not secure because your data is exposed in the client side. So in areas where you need to transmit sensitive information, there is a very high risk of being hacked when you're using cookies. So they created a better way of doing that, which is sessions. And yeah, so JR, I think you're going to take over from there, and you're going to have a demo so you can see exactly how sessions are more secure than cookies.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Roselyne. So I'll start. So you know how all communication via the browser and the server is done via HTTP, which is stateless, right? So the fact that Roselyne is still sharing, I hope you're still remembering and still sharing. Yeah, there, thanks. Now, the fact that the protocol is stateless.
Sorry, I was about to demonstrate something else. Sorry, continue.
The fact that the protocol is stateless means that this message between the client and the server are completely independent of each other. So if you want our site to keep track of a relation with the client, you need to implement that yourself. Now that there comes in session. So session is a mechanism used by Django for keeping track of the state between the site and a particular browser. So a site here can be any site that you can think of. Django also provides the session framework that supports anonymous user and the session and the user session. So the session data is stored on the server side, and it contains the session ID. So the session ID is the unique identifier. So the session middleware manages the sending and the receiving of cookies. The default session engine is stored on the django.settings.py. We're gonna see how it's set on the settings.py. Then click next. Roselyne. Okay. So by default, Django stores session data in the database using the session model of Django.contrib.session of the application. However, you can choose other session engine using the session engine. So the database session stores the data in the database session of the database, the default engine. Okay, this is the default engine. Then the file-based session, you can also change it to the file-based session to store data in the file system. You can use the cached session to store session data in the cached backend, like using the Redis and things like that. Then cookie-based session stores session data in the cookies that are sent to the web browser. Click next. So we have various session cookie session configurations. So I'll start with the first one. So the session cookie age. The duration of the session cookies in session is 2 weeks. So now that's like 1,209,600 seconds, I think so. Then we have session cookie domain. So it says the domain for the session cookies. Then we have session cookie HTTP only. So it says to true to prevent JavaScript from accessing the session cookie. So which other one? Oh, the session cookie secure, set to true to indicate that the cookie should only be sent if the connection is an HTTPS connection, but the default is false. Then session cookie expire at browser close. So set to true, this means that you can set it to true to expire the session when you close the browser. Like when you click the X sign, maybe if you're using like a Chrome, Firefox, or any other browser. Then we have session save every request. So we set to true to have the session and update the session expiration to the database on every request. So the default also on this is false. Click next kindly. Okay, how it works, Roselyne?
Um, okay. So yes, we created took this diagram from the internet so that we can show you how sessions work with cookies. So remember when I said that sessions, or rather cookies, complement sessions. Cookies do not depend on sessions. They can work independently, but for a session to be created, it depends on a cookie for storage most of the times in the client side. So when, for example, you log into a website, I hope you can see my cursor. Let's assume you have logged into a website and this is the first time you're logging in. A cookie has not been created and a session has not been created. So when a request is sent to Django, the session middleware generates a unique session ID, and then it also creates a session cookie where the session ID is stored. And then now that the user is allowed to, or the request continues and is directed to the views, the models. Basically, you can execute the request, and then a response is sent. So when the HTTP response is sent to the client, the session cookie is sent in the HTTP headers, and it contains the session ID. We are gonna show you that in a few. Yeah. So the next time you're logging in, remember the first time you didn't have a session cookie and you didn't have a session cookie and you didn't have a session created. But the second time the request is being sent, the cookie is the one which is sent to the session middleware. But now, what was the name? The Django contrib this year. The Django contrib.sessions is the one that matches the session ID in the cookie to the one stored in the server. To the one stored in the server. So until the session cookie expires, the process can be repeated as many times as possible. Yeah. So that's basically how authentication happens with a session ID. I hope that's clear.
Also, also to add on what you've said, so for subsequent request, still on this same image, so for subsequent request, the session middleware matches the value session ID in the cookie sent by the web browser. So with the session identifier stored on the web server and associate with the currently logged in user.
Jaya, kindly repeat that.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so for subsequent request, the session middleware matches the value of the session identifier with the cookies sent by the web browser, okay, stored on the web server and associated with the currently logged user. Moving on swiftly, click next. Okay, now session auth and token auth. I know most of you have used token auth. Like who? Let me see. I'll just unpick someone. Let me see. Samuel, hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, great. Have you used token auth before?
No.
Okay. Let me see another person. Okay. Jimmy. Hi.
Hi.
Have you used token auth
Yes.
before? Yeah, great. Could you kindly explain to us what token auth is, or how do you use it? How does it work? Before I
Maybe
get to my
I can say how it works. Maybe I don't know what it is, but it generates it generates a key. It's a key and a value pair. So okay, it's a key that when, sorry, let me just get coherent 1 minute. It's when using token auth, you get to generate a token on your browser, and you send it to your backend, so it verifies that this token has access or it doesn't have access. And the tokens are timed. Some, okay, not all. Some are timed because at some point you can have them expire. You can have I think generally that's it.
Yeah.
It's a key that it's sent to the backend to just confirm that this is you.
Yeah,
It's
great.
yeah.
Thanks for that, Jimmy. Helen, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. Just what Jim said.
Great. Now, moving on swiftly. So, with session out, as we said, it's stateful. So each time a client makes a request to the server must locate the session in memory. So the memory is the database in order to tie the session identifier to uh, the um, the user who requested. Okay, as we mentioned, the session-based stores the client. No, sorry guys, give me a minute. So yeah, as we mentioned, the session-based auth maintains the state of the client in the cookies. So I'm going to show you how the session ID is stored on the database, and then I show you on the browser how it's interchanged when you get to the demo. Now, with the token-based auth, token-based auth is stateless, meaning that since the token contains all the information required for the server to verify a user identity, so since the token contains all the information required by the server to verify a user's identity, that's why we say it's stateless. It's kind of stateless, okay? Yeah, then about the token out, the token out is stored on the browser, then on the local storage. I'm going to show you where it's stored. Then the session, again, remember, it's stored where? On the database using a unique identifier. Yeah. Now from this, where do we go to? We go to something called, there's a question. GWT authentication. Yeah, GWT is an example of token out. Yeah, thanks for that. Click next.
Oh, even before we go there, like I've used JWT authentication before, and I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around how it's stateless as compared to sessions. Like how does its statelessness? Is it because it's not stored in the server? It's stored in the client side.
Yeah, then it doesn't have to remember like what the last credential was, so you have to keep on refresh for it to fetch like the new credential. So it doesn't keep who, like the user's information like the way session does.
Okay. Yeah.
Click next. Yeah, there. So we have security vulnerabilities. So both cookie and local. So both session and token come with security vulnerabilities. So we have CSRF and then we have XSS, cross-site scripting. So with CSRF, cross-site request forgeries is where the attacker attempts to trick an already authenticated user into performing a malicious action. So most cross-site request forgeries target the web application that uses cookies. So remember, cookies are not authenticated. Then the cross-site scripting is a type of injection where the malicious scripts are injected into the client side. Most web that stores token in local storage are open to XSS attack. Sorry guys, I can't say that word like quickly. My tongue might drift away. Click next. So those are the two types, but there are so many. You can always research on the web. So we're going to the demo. At least we're getting our hands dirty. We're going to the most exciting part. Enough with the talking. Roselyne, will you start or I start?
I beg to start, so I can just eat and
Yeah, take us through.
yeah. So before we even start, I don't know if there's any question from the audience, anything that confuses you. Maybe you can ask and we can try to figure it out. Feel free to raise your hand. Yeah, so my demo is gonna be on setting cookies. So I can show you it. It's not even set up. 1 second. So yeah, I had already created a project. I have not created the views yet. So my project is called Cookies and it has an app called Tea. I don't know why, it just made sense to name the app, not a project, but an app called Tea. So I want to demonstrate on, yes.
At least we have the tea now, serve us the cookies.
Wow. Hey, I will chase your way. That is the daddiest joke. So let me just start. So I want us to be able to see the cookies in our browser. And so I don't know if anyone knows how to do this. If you can, even the logic itself, if you're not very sure, if you can at least give the logic, that would be nice. Whatever, like what's the first thing we should do when we're creating this function? And I'm just gonna, if you don't have the answer, you can just say hi. Norman, I don't think I've seen you before in this session. If you're in a position to speak, I want the logic. Yes, hi.
I'm a newbie.
Sorry?
I'm a newbie, so hi.
Oh, you're a newbie. Same. Increase my font, okay. Nice to have you here, Norman. I'll try and keep it simple.
Sure.
Kinoti,
Humphrey.
Humphrey. It's Kinoti. I'm so
Yes.
sweet.
Hi.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
I'd like to create a function that allows me to set a cookie. And allows me to set a cookie. So do you know where we can start? And I also want the function to tell us the number of times you have visited a certain site so that we can keep track of the number of time a user comes back to the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not quite familiar with Django, but maybe I can try.
Just the logic. Yeah.
Yeah.
The logic. Okay, give it a shot.
There's no wrong answer.
The logic to create a function, sorry, that will.
I want to create a function that will help me set a cookie. I want to set a cookie and then also count the number of times that a request is made to a certain website. So so I'll give you a hint. I will have to set two cookies. One that keeps the visits or tracks the visits, so that it's supposed to store the value, and another one that's supposed to just create a message. Because I want the first one to be, this is your first time in the website, and then for subsequent requests, I want I want the website to say welcome back. So I'm setting two cookies. One is a message and another one is a value, and also kind of like counting. So
Okay. I
you
think
can give
someone
me
should.
Swahili. Yeah.
I can't answer that. Sorry.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I should take over.
Sure.
Can I try?
Yes, you
Yes,
can.
Metrin. Hi.
Hi. I'm also very new with Django, but from what you've said, I think we'll need to import HTTP response from Django.http.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. And then maybe define a function. I don't know how to. You want to call the function?
Give me a
Which will
name.
take
Import HTTP. You can give me a name.
Any name that you can think of, Metrin.
I'm bad with naming
I'm gonna call it
functions.
Metrin.
Oh,
Function named after you.
help me with the name. Just set the name and then I'll continue.
Call the function Metrin.
All right. Yeah, you have spoken. Yes.
Okay, which will take a request, I guess.
Okay,
I'm thinking.
it's a request parameter.
Yes. Okay, now I'm glitching.
You're doing well. We need to initialize the values.
Yeah, so if we initialize, let's say maybe a request count.
Okay.
A variable called request count to track the requests.
You want me to call it? What do you want me to call it?
Request count, like just a request underscore count, or whichever way you like to.
Okay. So what Metrin is saying that you create a new variable, then you instantiate the variable to maybe think like request.session or something like that.
Okay. I'm a bit lost on that. Kindly repeat. Request.
So you can just put that name request count as a snake case instead of having it with a space.
Okay.
Then you can say is equals request.session.get
request.session
.get. Then you open a bracket or a parenthesis. You put your session value there, any name that you can think of.
Metrin.
Name. Okay, yeah, we can call it Metrin.
We can call it Metrin again.
No,
let's call it just.
Okay, great. Then we provide a default value. So you add a comma, then we provide a default value, maybe let's say 0.
Okay.
Then we're going to increment that default value every time someone refreshes. So we can increment by 1 outside that bracket.
All right.
Then from there, where do we go to? Then instead of having it as a dictionary at first, you interchange the square bracket with the other brackets, parenthesis brackets.
Oh, okay. The one that looks like block.
Like no, not that one. The other ones that look like a circle.
That's the one ahead.
Shift and 9 on your keyboard.
Oh yeah, that's the one I had. I think.
Okay, I think Basi, let me
do I need to zoom in?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry,
just zoom.
Yeah. Great. Go to the next line. Then you can say request.session. Open a square bracket. we can say the visits. Put single quotes. No, start with single quotes. We say visits is equals to that variable there, request count.
JR.
Hmm?
Yeah, I'm seeing this as more of a session function.
Yeah. Sorry, Metrin.
Yes.
JR is forcing me to do his demo.
No, I'm not putting it again.
I'm supposed to set a cookie,
Okay.
but now this is how you set session. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just finish with it. Then
Okay.
you're gonna show us how to. No, don't clear it. Don't remove everything.
Yeah.
Just show us. Then you're gonna show us how to create a cookie.
All right. Okay. Let me show you how to create a cookie.
Okay,
Right.
great. Yeah.
So yeah. So in this, we want to first of all initialize the count, which is, allow me to remove this here.
Okay.
I'm seeing your thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to initialize the value. The value is 1. So we are just going to assume this is the first time someone visits our website, and we are going to have a text here called, we can say, welcome for the first time. Let's say welcome for the first time, and then now we are going to. First, I want us to render a HTML document with our response, HTTP response header. So we are going to have a variable called HTML, and then we're going to call the HTTP response, and then kind of inject this HTML here so that we have a title for our page. Hey, these people with shortcuts for functions. Let's call it Django cookies. That's what our page is gonna be called. Yeah. So and then we are going to set the cookie. So from what we had discussed earlier when we were setting a cookie, maybe someone can try and let me know the parameters that we need here. They're right here. So yeah, you'd like to unmute and tell me what we should start with. You can create any name. Yeah.
The key and its value.
Sorry?
The key and its value.
Okay. So we name it key. We'll name it key. And then for the value, we are going to use this value here. We're going to use that value. And then we are going to use our text. And then return HTML. We're going to return HTML. Okay. So I've not yet set the maximum age and expires. So let's just try and run this and see what we get. Oh yeah. Before we run it, anything else we need to do? Just basic Django practices. And I'm gonna call on who am I gonna call? Duncan. Is there something we might have forgotten? All right. Kayongo, anything we need to do before we try and run our server? I feel like a mad teacher, guys. Don't make me so
kind of blank.
properly.
Yeah, I'm kind of blank.
Okay.
You're kind of blank. That's okay. So I just
Anyone can
wanted.
try.
Yeah.
Tracy, I see an hand is raised. Tracy, yes, please go on.
Yes, Tracy.
Do we need to set sorry, you what URL patterns.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So
that, Tracy.
I almost ran these things. So do you want to continue giving me the
Tracy?
Tracy? You wanna continue?
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Yeah.
From Django.urls, import path, and then from .views, you import your view. Then URL.
Sorry, Kayongo just said he was overthinking.
Am I on the right
and I
track?
knew he was overthinking. We are on the right track.
Yeah, the right track, Tracy.
Oh, okay. Then you say URL patterns is equals to a list. Then now we can define the path. Path bracket the URL.
Sorry, then?
We can maybe say metrine with a slash. We can say metrine with a slash at the end.
Okay.
And then comma. Metrine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should do it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for trying. Your mate for overthinking. I don't know what they thought we were supposed to do. So we're not going to run the stuff. Oh, I have not activated. I know the activating environment part is it's always for some reason before you catch it. What did I do? Cookies. Should be working. Hey guys, you'll have to help me stare. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here because I do have the virtual environment.
Doing?
I do. Okay, let me just.
It's uppercase.
No, kindly list the directories you have there, or you actually created a new one.
Yeah, I've created a new one. I'm not able to do that. Yeah. I know I'll have to install Django. Okay. No. Nice. Then let's go to the browser and see what Metrine has. Invalid literal for int base 10. Welcome for the first time. Okay. Any idea where we have gone wrong here?
Okay.
I actually don't know, guys. I'm just as shocked as you are.
Please go back to the error message. Invalid literal. I think.
Oh.
I think it's
okay.
Yeah, it's the integer.
Okay.
Or is it the order of the function?
You know, guys, when I said we are supposed to set 2 cookies, I meant it, and I didn't listen to myself. So we're supposed to set, the issue is I added two values here. It's supposed to be key value, then the other parameters. So here, I'm supposed to name this. Let's have I can try a more practical name, like let's just do visits so that we don't get confused. And then also set another cookie for the text. I wish we had more time. We would have tried the proper login view. So you can see this could be a username, it could be an email. Yeah. So this, we're now going to set this with message and then text. Yeah. Okay, let me enlarge this. Let me do a H1 here. Doesn't really matter, but okay. Nice. So I want us now to just 1 second, let me grab my charger.
So before Roselyne comes back, so the session dictionary accepts any Python object by default that can be serialized to JSON. Anyone with the name JSON here?
Sorry, JR, you're saying?
Continue.
Okay. So so now that we have this, the only way we are gonna see what exactly is happening in the HTTP request is to open the developer tools, and you can do that with a Control-Shift-I shortcut. So I hope you can see. Let me try and enlarge it. So let me try and refresh again. So if I refresh, you can see right here, we have our, is it a view? Yeah, we have our view right here. Yeah. And then when we look at the headers, we are going to see the set cookie. Yeah, we're gonna see the set cookie, and here we have visits 1, and we have the message. The second cookie is the message, welcome for the first time. So this could have been username, Wacuka, and email address, roselyne.wacuka@gmail.com. So yeah, the other place I'd want us to see is the application right here. So this, ideally, we're seeing where, yeah, we're gonna see this part here, our local host. You see, it has the value. This is actually very dangerous for for anyone who wants to store sensitive information, because you can see it's all out there for the world to see. Yeah. So now you can actually keep track of how many times you visit the site. That's the other function that I want us to. That's the other function that I want us to create. I'm gonna do this real quick. So this is a global variable, this HTML. So we are going to say if what's the name of our cookie? Yeah. If request dot cookies dot get visits, we're checking if our request dictionary, if our request dot cookies dictionary has this visits key, or not keys, but has this visits cookie. This is a cookie. We are now going to increment. It means the user has visited that site before. And so we are going to set our value again. We can do, that's what that's what you were trying to do, but with session.
You got ahead
Yeah.
of me.
No, you went ahead. So our value, we are going to get our value by doing request dot cookies dot get visits, and this is an integer. Yeah, an integer, and then we are going to automatically increase it by 1. So that means if a person had visited before, first of all, let's set the default value here to 0 in case the value does not exist. But if it does exist, we will increment it. We will increment the integer contained in this visits cookie and add it increase it by 1. And then for the text, we are just going to set it to welcome back. Welcome back. Now, Anna, any idea what you're going to use it down here in the, actually just down below. We're going to set the HTML cookies again. Allow me to copy these things. I'm just gonna copy it. Same thing, but now we have different output. And then we are just gonna ident. We can add else for more clarity. And take this way back. So yeah, so here we're just setting the cookie for the first time and then checking, counting and checking if the person has visited the browser before. Yeah. Yeah, so if you take a look right here, you have the welcome back and the number of visits 2. You keep doing it, you get your numbers. And if you want to clear this, you just go to your clear browsing data where we all clear our cookies and cached data. And when you clear it and go back, Control Shift.
Roselyne, you've stopped sharing.
I've stopped sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, your sign-in credentials might have changed. Guys, I refreshed and it took it seriously. I'm using my phone for the speaking part. So I have to join again using my laptop. So I'm not going to clear cache data and again here. It took this way too seriously. Exactly what I'm talking about. When you clear your cookies, you're logged out.
Yeah. Any question? Any question? Yeah, someone.
Okay, when the first error came up, it was stating that she used the wrong data type. Like, okay, where did she like define that when she set the first cookie, like how did you know that it was going to be an integer? Then the second one, it was a string.
Roselyne.
It's because I had basically defined it here. Oh, even the first value, actually, that was just the wrong format. You see, I had that was just a wrong format, first of all, because the set cookie only takes the key, the value, but here I had added text, which is another variable that's not supposed to be there. So I would mostly attribute it to the fact that that was not the right format. So if I had added maybe expires or max age, it would have worked. But yeah, So I just knew, I didn't even look at the int. I didn't even look at the integer. I just kind of knew that was the wrong format.
Okay.
So
Anyone else? Before Roselyne reattempts to join. Maybe you need clarity. Roselyne?
okay, let me share.
Okay.
Second. Let me know if you can. Let me know if you can.
Yeah.
All right. So we were right here. I had cleared my history, and as you can see, it has disappeared. My cookie has disappeared. So if I visit the page again, you get "You're welcome" for the first time. So it's just a very cool way of, I think I'm gonna abuse it with the remember me remember me option in your login page, so that you can add this logic to your login view, so that you can fetch the username, you can fetch the email and any other data that you want to keep retrieving. And if you want to use it, if you want to retrieve it, you just use this. You just use this request.cookies.get and then username or email and whatever you want to stop. Yeah, that's it from me. We are now going to see how cookies complement sessions. So note how we don't have anything else here other than the cookies themselves, nothing else. So JR, maybe you can take over. Yeah.
Okay, let me start my machine.
I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Yes.
Sure.
So in websites, when they say accept these cookies, you go and read about the data that they're picking. This is what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what they're talking about. And to be honest, I used to be very scared of my data being collected, until you actually understand there's an issue with privacy and all that. But at the end of the day, cookies help with your user experience generally in the website. So they're not generally wrong. They're not all wrong, unless now they misuse the data. But most of the times they just use to enhance your experience. Yeah. Any other question, or are
Thank you?
Yeah, sure.
Welcome.
Okay. I think you can take over, JR. I am going to stop sharing.
Okay.
It's 9/11. Stop it.
Okay, disclaimer, guys. I'm using a Windows. I'm sorry, guys.
Ooh.
Let me share. So I hope you can all see my CMD, my terminal. I'll navigate to the project. I think this is the main project. I'll activate my virtual environment. So for the ones who are starting, this is the first thing that I'll suggest you do. You start by creating our folder. So you'll start with make.dar. Then you call any name that you can think of. You can call any name. Then you move inside that project. Okay, then you're gonna start a virtual environment, starting with that. Then you write this, then you give a virtual environment a very unique name. Maybe you can call it my env or any name. Okay, then once you do that, you activate. So for instance, it's called my env. Then you activate this like this script, then \activate. That way. Then if you're using a Mac or a Windows, no, Mac or Linux, this is how you're going to activate it. So it's called my env. It's /. Then you say it's been, then activate. I think this is the way. Then after that you say pip install Django. That way. Then you press enter. After that, you're gonna start create a Django project. So you're gonna write Django admin start project, my project. That way. Okay. I hope you can see. Then you press enter. After that, you can test it with writing py manage.py run server, just to make sure everything is working. Now, after that, now you can start any app that you can think of. Now you can write any py manage.py start app. Maybe you can call it users that way. Okay, great. Now I'll activate my virtual environment, the one that I have, so we can get started. So I have a users app. It doesn't have anything. Okay. Then I have the main project called the core. Inside here, I just activated the users. So I'll start by creating. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna show you how the session authentication works. So you know how when the user logs into the site, their anonymous session is lost, and then the new session is created for authenticated user. So if you store items in anonymous session that you need to keep after the user's login, you'll have to copy the session data before you log in as the user using the login function of the Django authentication system and storing it in their session after that. So let's create a simple model. I'm thinking of a name, so I'll call it maybe class code. Then I'll say models. Model. Then I'll create an attribute called number. Then I'll instantiate with the user. Using a one-to-one field. I'll say user. Then on delete, models.cascade. Related name, you can say maybe code. I need to import this user, so I'll say from django.contrib.auth.models import get user model. Then I can say user is equals to get user model. That way. Let me just correct this one here. Then I'll say def str self return string self dot number. That way I need to create random numbers. So I'll generate random numbers. So I'll import random. Then I'm going to override the save method to store the newly created random number. So I'll say def save itself args, meaning argument. Then I take in keyword arguments. Then so I'll say if not self the number, what should happen? So I'll create number list within a range of 10 for x. So this is the compression in range of 10. Then I'll say what code items. I hope it works. The str string method, I'll say random. Which random? Hey, random choice, I believe so. Random choice. Then I'll instantiate with number list. Then I'll say for in range, because I just want 5 numbers. Let's say 5. Then I'll say self.number. Self.number what is equals to join code items. Now I'll say super dot save args and quags. That's it. Now that's our model. So from here, where do we go to? I'll need to create something called a signal. So last week we learned a lot about signals, even though I was late. So what are signals? So signals, we can say signals. No, I'll start by creating first a file that I can explain. Signals.py. I hope you guys can still see my screen. Jimmy, you can still see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. So Django signals are a powerful tool for executing code based on certain events in your application. So signals are kind of decoupled and they allow the sender to notify the receiver. You're going to see what I say by a receiver, that some action has taken place. So you can use either signals to things like automating tasks, logging data, sending mails, and so much more. There are several built-in signals such as post-save, pre-save, then post-delete, and post-save, pre-save, there's pre-delete and post-delete, and so many others more. So I'll start by importing a few functions. I'll say, so from Django .contrib .out .models import. I'm going to import post-save from Django. Just give me a minute. From Django .contrib .out .models import. Then which other one? Okay, from Django. .db.models .signals imports was saved. Then any other thing we need? Oh, we need a receiver. So say from Django .dispatch import a receiver. So I'm gonna create a receiver decorator. Receiver. I'm going to pass in post save. Then I'll say the sender is equals to who? The user. Then I'll create a function. I'll say def generate code. Then I'll pass in a few parameters, starting with what? The sender, the instance created, and then the quags or keyword arguments. What else? So here I'm gonna pass in now an if block. So I'm gonna say if created. Yes, please.
Okay, on the quags, you've missed an asterisk.
Yeah.
It will read it as ags, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that, Samuel. Yeah, there. So if created, we're gonna say code.objects dot create, where the user is going to be instantiated to that instance. Then I'm going to say else, we're taking a try block. We say instance dot code dot save. So except where the code does not exist, what will happen? Code.objects dot create, where the user is equals to instance. So what's happening here? So we have the receiver decorator. So it connects the post save signal using it connects we have the decorator that connects the post save signal of the user model to our generated code function over here. So this means that our function will be called whenever a user is saved. Now the if created checks if the user instance was newly created, then creates a new code. If a user already exists, or maybe you're just changing maybe the username or trying something, it will not create a new code. It leaves the code that had already been created previously. Now from here, where do we go to? We can create our logic. Then I'll make the migrations. So we come here. Okay, I need to create the forms. Then I'm gonna say from dot models import code. Then what? From Django dot forms import forms. So I'm gonna call this class code form text in forms dot then I'm gonna say class meta. The model is equals to code. The fields that I want is this one only, the number. So I'm gonna pass in the number. Okay, instead of having the word number on the form, I'm gonna change it with a label. It's equals to from Django.forms, import forms, if I'm not wrong. Enter a code. You can also provide a help text. Yeah, I think this is good. Let's go back to our views. So I'll start by importing that. I'll say from what? From dot forms, import code form. Then I'm gonna import also the authentication method from Django dot contrib dot auth import. Gonna start importing the login, the authentication. What else? Okay, I'm gonna import what else from Django dot contrib dot auth dot forms import authentication form. Which other thing? Okay, I'll import other things as we go. So I start right here a simple function called home. Then I'm gonna pass in a request parameter. I'm gonna return render request. Yes. Yes, please. Is that a question, Roselyne?
No. It's Paul saying he has to be away from the screen. Yeah, but we're gonna record it. Yeah. Oh, Paul is leaving. Okay. Helen, see, we can have the recording.
So I wanna create another function called the login view, where I'm gonna pass in a request. Then I'll pass in a form, but form is equals to authentication form. Then from here, where do I go to? I'm gonna say if the form, hey. Sorry guys, if request that method is equals to post, what will happen? I'll take in the username, I've taken the username. So it's supposed to be request dot post dot get the username, password is equals to request dot get our password. Then we're gonna create a user variable. Then we instantiate with authentication function. We call them the request. We pass in where username is equals to username. Then the password is equals to password. Okay. Sometimes back there's a meme of a guy. They were asking about the password. I don't know if you guys remember. Around 2022.
Is it the one for Quevo and is it offset? No?
No, it was
Oh, that's
locally.
a password.
There's a guy who
I
was asking
remember.
Password.
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 Then from here I'm gonna say if user is not none. So I'm gonna create my request here, request.session. I'm gonna pass in a unique identifier, which is the primary key. So I'm gonna check the user's unique identifier, the primary key. Then if that primary key passes, I'm gonna return redirect to somewhere. I need to import redirect. Okay, then okay, nothing much. I'm gonna return request the login.html. I'll pass in the form that way. So what's happening here? So I'm using the authentication built-in form for user authentication. Then here we are fetching the username and the password for us to authenticate the user with the provided credentials. Then from here, this block context block here, what it does here we check if the user is authenticated. If they're authenticated, we redirect them to this success page. So then the request stores the user's primary key, which is the unique identifier. This request.session primary key stores the unique identifier for users. Now I'll create another function, a final function, which I'll call maybe verify view. Then I'll pass in request. Okay, so here I'm gonna start by saying form. Why am I saying from? It's equals to code form. Then I'll pass in request that post. Should it be here? Okay, we can try here or none. We pass in primary key. We create a variable primary key. We say request dot session dot get primary key. Then we can test if the primary key is true, what will happen. We can say user is equals to user is okay. I'll need to create a user. So from Django.contrib .auth import get user model. So user is equals to who get user model that way. Now here I'll say user dot objects dot get, where the primary key is equals to the primary key. So if the user primary key is 1, we get the 1. Then I'll say code is equals to who? User dot code. Okay, I needed to pass a try block before I even proceeded writing the user model. So I'll pass in first. I'll pass in a try block so that if it fails smoothly. So try user is equals to user dot objects dot get primary key is equals to primary key. Then the code is equals to user dot code except where the user dot does not exist. If the user is not created, we return redirect to where? To login. Create the login view, the one which is above here. Then accept another accept block, accept where the code does not exist. I need to import the code. So from dot models import what? Code. Does not exist. I'm gonna pass in code. I'm gonna create one code dot objects dot create where the user is equals to user. Then I'm gonna say code is equals to user dot code. I think that's enough. Okay, I'll need to print this just in case we get an error. Let's say printf Let's just see if it's going to work. Verification. That way. So if the form is valid, if the form dot is valid, what will happen? I'll create a new variable, then I'll say form dot clean data dot get number. I want to get whatever the user is going to add to this input element. Then I'll say if a string we typecast our number to string, then we check, then we say if num is equal to num, so whatever the user is going to add, if it's equal to this, then what should happen? We should call our login function. We pass in the request, then we pass in the user. We authenticate the user. So else, if they're not successfully authenticated, what will happen? We return them to where? To the login return redirect. login. We need to pass templates. So here I'm gonna say return redirect request. Then I'll pass the form dictionary there. So what's happening in this code now? We're creating an instance of code form to populate it with data. So our form here, this code form, we want to populate it, whatever data has been populated with, we want to save it on the database. Now, so here the PK, where the PK is equals to request.session.get PK, we are retrieving the user's primary key from the session. So whatever session here, as you can see, so if the user is going to maybe set their username and then the password, so we fetch the primary key. Then once we fetch it, we're gonna test it here on this try block. So on this try block, we attempt to get the user from the database using the primary key that we fetched from the session. Then the user code try to access the user using the associated code, whatever code we're gonna generate using these random numbers. Where are they? This over here. Okay. Then the except block, the first except block, if the user does not exist, we redirect where to login. We return them back to login. Then if the code does not exist, we create one. Okay, that's what's generally happening here. Then this just the normal form testing to check whatever has been added to the form is correct. Then we check over here if the whatever has been added to the form is the same as to what had been generated. We authenticate, and then they will be able to check our site. Great. Now I'll need to create URLs. So I'll say from Django.urls import path. Say from .views import home. A list of paths. The default one is home. Login view. Then the other one is path. Verify. Okay, we come back to our views. There's somewhere where I need to change. Oh, here. There. Also, this should be inside this if. That I think everything is good to go. Let's give it a try. We see what's gonna happen. So I'll start by making the migration py-manage.make migrations users. This the users the name of my app here. Then I'm gonna say manage.py migrate to synchronize my database. There. Now I'm gonna create an admin. Then we test using the admin manage.py. Create super user. manage.py super user. I'm gonna say admin. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. So manage.py run server. Oh, before even doing this, there's something I've forgotten. I need to make sure that our default template cannot be accessed. I'll use a decorator. So I'll say from Django.contrib.auth. import login required login required. Oh boy. I'll add that decorator there. Then I create templates. Just remember I don't have templates. I'll create them inside here. I'll create a base template. I'll create another template called home. Roselyne. Helen.
Yes, Chair.
Oh, I thought I was talking alone.
No, no.
Okay. Block content. I pass in a form element using the post. I'll pass in my CSRF token. Then I'll close this and block. I'll pass in the form as a paragraph. I need to copy this. I'll create another template, the final one. I'll call it verify.html. So here I change it to verify. That way, I think everything is good to go. Yeah, so we're good to go. So I'll write py manage.py run server. So I'm gonna pass in the admin to check. Oh, it's not a valid view function or pattern name. Okay, let me check. Yeah, looks good. I think this looks good. Where is the error coming from? The error is coming from return. Oh, I'm supposed to write return render, not redirect. Return render. Yeah, there. So as you can see, here's the label, then the help text. So I'll check if, oh yeah, here is the verification code. As you can see here on this, the verification code for the admin is here. So we created random numbers, 5 random numbers. Let's see if it's going to pass. Okay. Okay, it's at 200. Don't know what's happening. Let me check.
You have a space in front of your number.
Oh, okay. Let me try again. Okay, still not passing. I'll come back here to my code. I check where I'm going wrong.
You got a space in front of your number when you're entering it. There's a space.
There's a space.
Front of the number.
Let me just check the number again. Okay, still nothing. Let me check the code. Maybe it's the code. So login request user. Guys, just give me a minute to debug. I'm wondering where the error is coming from. It's not up. Nothing is happening. If I add the code, it should redirect. I'm getting forbidden CSR cross-site request forgeries.
Maybe you can try restarting again.
Okay, yeah,
I've
cool.
encountered this one. That's what I did.
Let me just write this down. It's 64875 64875. I hope it won't take forever. It's still loading. Okay, this one is taking too long. Let me just check the code. I might be going somewhere wrong. So we have our function here called verify view.
Yeah.
Yes, Ellen.
Maybe you should like pass a method if request.method equals if request.method is post, or have you done that?
Here, I'm already passing here request.post. You want me to interchange it with request dot?
Use print statements to like.
Okay.
If you load, maybe you can reload the page so that you can see if it's this verification code. Is it printing that verification code?
Yeah, it's printing. Okay, let me just stop it. Okay, it stopped.
Printing it once.
Yeah, it's printing it once.
When you do a get request.
Okay, let me try again. File manage.py run server. Okay, I think it passed, but let me see. How comes it's not? Okay, still the same. Let's see. 64875.
Has it printed it again, or
It's still the same. I think just give me 1 minute to go through this code quickly.
Should do if request.method is post, because it's only.
I forgot here. There's somewhere I forgot here. Instead of redirecting to redirect, return redirect to where? To home. Let's give it a try one more time. I'm gonna stop this server. Then file manage.py run server. Oh, there. Yeah, I know. I not passed in a redirect here on line 53. That's why it was kind of stagnating on still the same page. So what's happening here? Let's check if a session was created. I'm going to inspect. Then I'm going to go to, is it the applications? No, the storage. I think different browsers vary. So with Chrome, you might find the session on the application, but with Firefox, you find them here on the storage. So I'll come here to the cookies. Then once you refresh, you can check here. Here, there's a unique identifier. Then towards the right, this the unique identifier here it is. Then when it was created, how long it will last. As you can see, I created when. Then the domain expires when. It's Friday, June 2024. But you can change this maybe to maybe after every let's say something like 24 hours. Then host only true. Then HTTP meaning true, meaning that someone can easily attack using this session ID. Then the last access you can check here. It's Friday 24th. Then the path, same site, other things I don't know, like this one, I don't know what it does. Then we have secure, it's false, as you can see here. Yeah. So do we have a question up to maybe where we have reached? Oh, I'll need to also check the database. If the session ID is stored in the database, let me see if I can configure a database. We migrate to a different database. Or before that, I can create a different user so that we just make sure this thing is working. Let's say 127 admin. So I'll log in using this test 127. Test. Okay, let's check for, okay, here. Oh, there. Yeah, so it's working perfect. Where was I to go to? Yeah, Roselyne, what was next?
Sorry,
Roselyne.
I have to. Yeah, yes, we are supposed to go to the database. You have to configure. You want to use Postgres?
Yeah, let me see. Let me see. Do you have your setup? Everything is set from your side.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, we can use yours.
but we can also use yours. We can quickly. I might take one long.
Okay.
No, I
Let me
can
just.
use mine.
Okay, just.
Yeah, whichever works.
If mine doesn't work, we're going to interchange with Roselyne's. So I'll start
Alright.
by. I'm gonna switch from where. So here we are currently using SQLite 3, but I want to switch to Postgres. I'll start by installing package manager. So I'll say pip install. I think it's psycop G2 binary. I think that's the one. Okay, yeah. So from here, I'll come back to my settings. I'll just comment this just in case something goes wrong. I'll change back to that. So the first thing we do is what? Database engine.
Yeah, it's database.
So our engine is called Postgres.
It's called
PostgreSQL. That way, I think so. So yeah.
Yeah.
Then the next person is user.
Should you add psychopg2 underscore psychopg2?
Okay, yeah. Psycho, it's psy, PSY.
PSYCO
Mm-hmm.
PG2.
That way.
Let me see.
PsycopG2.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. So we're gonna say Postgres.
Duncan has raised his hand.
Yes, Duncan. Duncan.
Yeah, on the database engine, is it that necessary to add that module psycho pg2? Because
yeah, either way can work.
Like
okay.
Backend
either way.
Either way can work. We can also remove this, but it still work. We don't need to add it. Password. Okay. Password. Then the host. I'll say the host is who? Localhost. Then the port. The port is 5432. I hope so. Then I'll need to migrate. So I'll say py manage.py migrate. Oh boy. Hey. Database is improperly configured. Please apply what? Let me just check. Hey. Okay.
The database name.
Oh, yeah, the name. Yes, there's a question.
Duncan. Yes, Duncan.
Try again, Danny. Try again.
Okay, there. I think it's working. Let me see. Let me try and switch to Postgres to see if we can fetch. So I'll say Postgres, not Postgres, but PS SQL. That's the server. Then I'll say user is Postgres. I think that's it. Then I'll pass in that for me to provide a password. I'm gone wrong with the password. Let me just repeat it. Pass 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let me see.
Wait, you cleared the terminal? How did you do that?
You write this. Let me just zoom in.
Yeah,
you write a backslash. That way,
Ah.
CLS for window. There has to be a space between them. But if you're using a Linux or a Mac, you write clear.
Okay, thanks.
Now, I'll need to check the tables that I have. So these are the various tables that I have. As you can see, I have a user code. I have Django sessions, I have migrations, I have content.type, underscore type, I have admin log, and so many other tables. Okay. Now I want to see the various sessions that have been stored. So now select all using that from Django underscore session. Okay, none was created. Hey, okay, this is strange.
You had not created a session.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've remembered. we changed the database. Okay, let me just start another CMD. Now, I hope you can still see the other CMD. So now I'll say cd desktop, then what cd project that env /scripts activate cls. I'll say py manage.py .create super user. Okay, it's py manage.py create super user. I'll just leave it at admin.com. Okay, py manage.py run server. Okay, it's taking longer. I need to restart again.
Do you make migrations?
Oh, did I? Okay, let me just check. Py manage.py. Okay, yeah, I think so. CLS py manage.py run server. So the code is 3101. Here, let's test it. Okay, it's working. We go back to our this one, our Postgres. So now I'm gonna write. As you can see, we have a. I need to. Okay, let me just use different. Let me use pg admin so that we can see something that's concrete. Where is it? Here. Because I can see these numbers clear. I need to check these numbers, then we check, we make a reference using the browsers. We check if they are similar. Then I'm gonna write select or Django underscore sessions. Okay. Schemas tables. Okay, we have the schema over here, but I don't know why.
It's select from.
Select from. Select. Oh, yeah. Select all. Django session. No.
It's session, not sessions.
Django sessions. Oh yeah, Django session. I think that should work. Yeah. Thanks for that, Samuel. I'd forgotten from. I don't know why. Let's go back to the browser. Instead, then we go where to our storage. We check the session ID if they match. So it's 1D RT something something. There. It's 1D RT, things like that. So they match here, as you can see. Yeah, so they kind of match. So it's so every time you create a session, it's stored here in the database, as we were saying before. Roselyne, anything else?
Not really. I think this pretty much demonstrates it. Yeah. I like how you I like the function, the implementation. Yeah.
Oh,
Because it's very practical.
this function is not
Yeah.
even that practical.
Not bad. Better than what I wrote.
It's something that I just created, but there's a way you can tweak it to be more advanced. Then what you can do, you see, like how whenever you want to log into eCitizen, you just add your email. Then they usually send like a verification code on your phone number. Someone who has ever tried logging into eCitizen app, they can testify. Then now this is something similar. So you create a random number, then that you print that random number. But you can also use like something more advanced like Twilio to send it to maybe someone's phone number. You just integrate with the API. But you need to change a few things to make sure this thing maybe changes after maybe every like a minute or so. Yeah, because mine like they're not changing, they're permanent.
So for the configurations, you have to do them in settings.py, or can you do them in UViews?
Which configurations?
Like the maximum age, the
Oh
expiration.
yeah. You have to put them here. The maximum age. The other one was the session cookie age. You can change it to here, so you can here say session cookie age is equals to maybe 1 or 60. So for every 60 seconds, we get a new session cookie, or it expires. Yeah. So that's it for session. Then I wrote something small. Let me see where it is. So for this login, I had to write a test before we started the session for me, just to make sure it was going to pass. So I wrote a small test. So here's the test. It's how it looks like. So we have the setup. Then I populated the small setup with password, with the username and then the password. Then I created a user. So whenever a user logs in, we redirect them to the verified, then the home. Now we test login and verification. Now here, then we remember when I said when it comes to test, you have to check with different assertion methods. Nothing is unique here. You just picking different assertion methods, then you just check on them. And then maybe check on the test if it's going to pass, things like that. Yeah. So that's it for my session. Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys. Any question? Yes, Samuel.
Okay, yeah, I have one.
Mm.
When you started the presentation, you were talking about cross-site scripting.
Mm.
So, this week I've been working on a project, and it had to do with Django CK editor. So something that came up was that I remember back in LX, we were being warned, we were being notified to be careful about using some third-party apps. So the thing that came up was that when using the Django CK forms, like there's a way someone can actually inject a piece of code onto a third-party library. So like, for example, the way I've used, for example, if I have like my just a basic blog, like the title, the body and such, just because the CK forms is actually in, what do you call it, is actually involved the body element, someone can try to manipulate that vulnerability with the library. So my question is, like, how do you guys figure out whether a library is fit enough to be integrated into Django? If you've ever come across it, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. Helen. Okay. Jimmy. Yeah, Duncan. I just want someone to start before I share something based on your question. Yes, Duncan.
Hey, Kanyago, what I can say, if you want to know that a library is fit for what you want to do with your project, you just read what's provided by like the Django official documentation. So like in the documentation, like if you are developing something like an e-commerce site, so like the documentation can tell you like if you want to implement payment gateway, use type, something of sort. So just rely on the documentation and all will be well.
Okay. On that, the thing is, like, the documentation didn't directly tell me that. Like, I met that concern on a forum. So like, there's no way of actually, like, someone can just decide to make a third-party library, and I'm sure like Django does not. I'm not too sure about it, but I believe it's difficult to track almost every single library that they implement. I don't know if I might be right or wrong, but I think it's just tough.
Jimmy or Helen, have you ever come across anything related to what Samuel is saying?
Personally, I've used the CK editor, but I've never had concerns on the security issues. This is because while downloading the CK editor, like it's updated regularly. There are people who are actually maintaining the project, the CK editor project. So I basically check for like issues on the GitHub page, and I haven't seen any major issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I kind of missed. Hey, sorry guys. 1 second.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. My concern was like, also on the script, on the injecting a script, like something random that I came across was like someone can inject a script on a URL. Like, how is that even possible?
I think I'm also Guys, I'm having an echo issue.
Your two devices. So
Mute one, then use the other one with the earphone, Roselyne.
so to Samuel, how does someone actually inject a script to a URL? The same way we send get requests and post requests with the data in to an API is the same way someone can like add additional headers or requests to to a URL. You just okay. There's this tool that I was introduced to by Helen. It's the mode header, like something like the mode header. You can actually like edit some. You can introduce some scripts like headers. It's a lot of stuff you can add to a basic URL and just post the data. If it accepts, then you'll have like injected.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the cross-site scripting, what you can do, okay, I'm reading from a site, usually to bypass the browser, same origin policy, the web applications. Okay, here they're saying that you open the console in the developer tools and then type JSON dot stringify, then you stringify this the cookie, then you press enter. This should print out the cookie ID elements in JSON serialized form. Then it will be easy for a script to access that that unique identifier. Okay, I think this is just the surface. Maybe someone, maybe me, I can research on that. Then I can always maybe DM me on Twitter. I don't have much to say about that because I've never faced such an issue. Maybe I can research on that. Then I'll let you know.
And I don't know, Jimmy. I think we should actually be in a position to answer this question. There's an issue we haven't solved, and it's looking at us every time, the CK editor thing. And Jimmy, you're usually very concerned about security and like how we need to upgrade from what's the is it the latest version of CK editor?
Version from version 4 to version 5. Yeah.
Yeah, but now version 5, I don't know if anyone has used version 5 here. It's very basic. It's version like the security has improved, but when I looked at it, it doesn't have most of the editing tools. I don't know if it's just me or I didn't configure it well. Yeah, someone.
Actually, you can configure it. There's okay. The last time I'm currently using it. There's a certain. It's a dictionary. It's called CK. Okay, it's just CK editor underscore configs. So there's I think it's either there's a key called it's either default or toolbar. One of them, you can decide to put it either as basic or as full. It's just your preference. You can
Okay.
you can try checking that out.
All right, I'll check it now.
Okay, may I use ChatGPT? Okay, GPT-4. It was stating that you can actually make it even much more custom. Like select the what do we say it? Like just put anything that you want instead of being limited to basic and full.
All
So
right.
yeah. Oh, and
I'll
I have a
try.
question. Oh, I have a question. When you installed Django CK, mine was like version 6.71, but when it runs, it's telling me that I have version 4 point something. Did you encounter that?
I can't really remember, but there was an issue with the versions. The one in the requirements.txt, the version there and the version that I was seeing in the terminal. There was an issue, but I can't quite remember it. I think I just ignored it when I saw the basicness of the CK editor.
Okay. But okay, when you're using version 5, was it okay? Was the installation long, or okay? How did you go about it?
It wasn't, honestly, it wasn't long. I just sort of copied the settings configurations from the documentation. It wasn't, maybe that's why it was basic on my end. Maybe it should have been longer. So I'm gonna spend more time on it and try to customize it. And I'll do it and then let you know what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question or clarity?
Okay, not really a question. Just just an additional point for anyone who has never used not cookies but sessions, and that was on the other place I've seen it being implemented. Jimmy, Helen, you probably know about this. I didn't know it until I saw they were trying to ensure someone can purchase without necessarily having to log in. So they basically, like you set or you use the session ID to identify an anonymous user. So yeah, that's just something to explore in case, for areas where you don't need a user to log in and you just want to identify them by their session ID. Yes, Samuel?
Okay. I have a final question on cookies, and this is something that I've seen on TechFilter. Apparently there was a certain app. So someone was using their app and they randomly came across a message that stated that someone had carried out a transaction. So something that I've never understood was like, how is it that someone can actually view your login credentials, yet yet it's like encrypted, or there's a chance that you're using like a plain text password? Like, how does that even happen? Like, even for example, if you're like using like Django, like
I'm not quite sure. You asked, okay, yeah. I don't get the question. You're asking how the person, like, honestly, when it comes to people hacking, I just think that in the entire own universe, these people are using they're using their own tools. You could just be here living your best life coding, and someone is already looking for something else, and it's beyond what you understand at the moment. So I don't know. From what I can probably deduct from that is if they just used cookies and the what's it called, like the variables. So is it the username and the passwords are not encrypted, or if maybe they're encrypted, the person has been able to, is it decrypt?
So I
Yeah.
know the story Samuel is trying to say. Is that the one where someone accessed someone's app, then they transferred the money that was in that app to their account, right, Samuel? Right?
yes.
So what they did there, so whatever they did there, they attacked the tokens. So I remember when we said about tokens, then we said different kind of attacks that can be made on a token. So there's X cross-site scripting. Then there is the other one, but there are so many. We just mentioned two. Maybe we research on that. There are so many that we can't even complete on that. So what they did, they just targeted the whatever. How do we put it? The authentication identifier that was generated, then they were able to access, because remember we said that with token authentication, it stores what? The user's information, the user's identity and everything. So the server doesn't have to remember who the user was. Yeah, and think like that on a basic level. That's how I can maybe describe it on a basic level.
Okay. Now I have like another final one. It's just still on security. So back in like uni, some guy was logged in using the class's Google accounts. So for weird for this reasons, they were scrolling through some of these random sites, the crazy sites we saw. So when one time while exploring the it happened. So one time while going through like the trash, is it the trash, the spam folder, I came across a message showing that there was a hacker who told them that we know the actual email, and password of your Gmail account. So something that struck me was like, okay, the person who's actually browsing the website, those funny websites, he was using it as an anonymous user, but how if he's still logged in using Gmail, like how the hell was he monitored? Like if Google can't be safe, like how does someone even do that?
Now, on that, Jimmy and Helen, I think we'll need a cybersec guy on one of these sessions. Jimmy,
That's actually true.
you can organize that, Jimmy. Peter.
I acknowledge that. I acknowledge you need cybersecurity professionals.
Maybe Peter is the cybersecurity guy. He has raised his hand.
Yes, Peter.
Please.
Okay, I'm not cybersec, but I think what you're trying to say is the cross-site reference, that attack, the CSRF. Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I don't know. I just know the.
But one thing I can add is that you see these funny sites, even the betting site, they usually like steal your data. Also, they sell it to other third parties apps that want users' data. They usually like sell your data to other apps, which maybe how they usually say that if you go to the deep web search, you can get like so many users info. I think that's the same thing. Maybe your friends, when they went to those bad sites, their data maybe was stolen and then was sent to was sold to maybe some other malicious attacker. That's how maybe they got the information. Then they tried, and then maybe your user, that friend of yours, had just saved the password to something simple, maybe 1234, or their initial names. Maybe that's how the attacker was able maybe to access their Gmail and other things.
Okay, for me, what I know is what they do. They when you're filling out a form, yeah, they fill out it's like they put a JSON payload together with your form. So if you don't validate or sanitize the data you're passing, it carries out a functionality, the backend, and exposes your data, something like that. Through if you don't sanitize your data while passing it through a request, it carries a payload that manipulates the backend and exposes your data.
Okay.
What I'm seeing is we need to bring we need to bring someone here to just talk about cross-site scripting and
I
all
can
that.
tell you,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can tell you who you can DM. Maybe she can give us a session on that. She's called Barongo. I don't know if you know her. He's on Twitter.
Barongo, no, not really.
So there's a time I went for a tech event. She was talking about these things, and at that time I wasn't paying attention because I was still a newbie. So I wasn't understanding what she was talking about. But I see her. She always talk about the cyber things. Maybe Jimmy or you can reach out to her. I know she will.
Yeah. Just send the handle and then we
Yeah.
can organize something so
Okay.
that we stop asking. These questions have been asked severally. And I'm also curious at this point. Like I think the more I'm understanding Django, the more it's becoming crucial to understand what's going on under the hood. Yeah. So today I'm not the host. I will pass it to Jimmy and Helen.
Actually, I'm the only one surviving, so it's uh, it, no, don't make it funny. So I think we've gotten to the tail end of this session, and thanks to JR, it's been so extensive. At some point, I was like, are we only speaking about sessions, or this is this is the entire Django ecosystem? And it's quite informative, and I've really gotten to learn a few things. Ooh. Yeah, you had to drop that in.
Yeah, I had to drop that before you end the session.
Right, it's fine. So I've also seen someone asking for the link to the recording. Yeah, I'll provide the link to the. I think I'll provide the link to the recording, maybe because it will come to my email, and if you also RSVP, it will be on your email. And maybe I'll make a point of posting some of the videos on YouTube. I know we've had quite a backlog of sessions, so I'll take a point on just having them publicly available on YouTube or as unlisted, so that when someone wants to reference them, they can get to know where to find the site, the chat before I end. So I know Helen. Helen, you can stop the recording for us. I know you're not able to speak to us right now.